My name is Gerry, I'm from Wild Eye, and this is episode 2 of the series in which I'm going to answer your wildlife photography questions. First of all, thank you so much for the feedback. Loving it and great you guys enjoy the content. Let's get right into it.
Simon J. Pierce from Instagram asked, I'd be interested in hearing your lens recommendations for enthusiasts.
Simon, it's a great question. Thank you so much. It's going to be answered, I think, first of all with another question. So lens recommendations will depend very much on where you're going to photograph and what you're going to photograph. The short answer from me would be 70-200. I like my 70-200 for absolutely everything. It's always the first lens in my bag. Now, that being said, for an enthusiast, someone who might not travel that much or it's just a hobby on the side, 26,000 Rand, you can do the US dollar conversion if you guys are from the States, that's a big chunk of money for something you're going to be playing with as a hobby on the side. So, again, it's going to come back for me as to what are you going to photograph. So for me, 70-200 covers pretty much everything. You get things like the Tamron, I think it's a 150-600, which at the price tag is serious bang for your buck. Same thing, the Sigma, they used to call it the Bigma. There's a 50-500 and a 150-500. Very heavy, very big, but the range of focal lengths you get in a pretty decently priced package is phenomenal. Now, the one thing people are always going to say, morning Penny, the one thing people are always going to say is, yeah, but you can't buy third party. Sigma and Tamron will never be as good as Nikon or Canon, whatever the case is. Here's the thing. I challenge anybody out there to take a 70-200 Nikon, 70-200 Canon, 70-200, what's the other one? Sigma, 2.8, put them next to each other, shoot them in the same conditions, process them all as best you can. I challenge anybody to then tell you which lens you used. Yeah? It's not important. When was the last time you looked at an image and said, ooh, I wonder what lens that was shot with? Never. It's not important. So, if you have the money, I would say go 70-200 and then pop a couple of converters on there, 1.4 and 2 times. Gives you a lot of room to play with. If money is an object, which unfortunately for a lot of it is, then look at your 150-600 Tamron, especially for wildlife and birds. On the shorter range, I mean, you do get things like the 2470 for me is a beautiful focal length. It's great for portraits, landscapes, animals and environment, whatever it might be. The very wide stuff, you get the 1424 from Nikon is great. 1635 Canon is a beautiful lens. But then you get the Sigma 10-20s, which on a crop sensor gives you a nice wide angle alternative. Don't be afraid of the Sigmas. Tamron I personally haven't used that much, but I have heard good things. Sigma I have used plenty in the past, and it's definitely worth a look.
Naomi asked on Facebook, how do you choose a winner?
How do you choose a winner? Now, Naomi, I'm expecting here, I'm talking from a personal, choose your own winners out of your own work, rather than a competition point of view. The most important thing, and I think this will answer both sides of it, is a winner for me, when I'm looking at my own images, is an image that speaks to me, end of story. I think if you're going to start shooting for, processing for, and ultimately choosing images based on do you think it's a winner or not, if your reason for doing something is to create a winner, I think you're not going to create a winner. I really think it's like that. So when I look at my images from a safari, I'll go sit back, cup of coffee, nice whiskey on the rocks, whatever it is, and I will scroll through all the images, and the ones that stop me, that I stop for some reason, I think, ooh, that's nice. I might not have figured out why it's nice yet, but the ones I like, those could potentially be winners. I'll then start processing them until the point where I think, right, now it speaks to me. For me, that's a winner. That's personally. From a competition point of view, how to pick a winner from a competition, I've got an issue with this a little bit, because when you enter a competition, you take some of what you think your better work is, you put it out there, and you allow a group of judges who you've never met, you might not even like their work, you let them decide whether you have good images or not. It's trying to win at photography is very much like trying to win at yoga. It's pointless, and it shouldn't actually be a thing. You need to create images that speak to you. If other people, whether they be judges or social media friends or whatever it is, if they like it, that's a bonus. But you have to pick your own winners.
Lisa 5073 and Wondrous Nature pretty much asked the same question on Instagram. Have you ever been charged at by a big cat, and how did it feel?
Okay, I kind of knew this was going to come up somewhere along the line because it's a question we get asked from a guiding point of view very often. Being charged by a big cat, what does it feel like? Okay, one word, it's awesome, right? Now, I don't want you guys to go running out and be charged by cats because that's just bad. But from a guiding point of view, Marlon and myself, we've been in the guiding industry for quite a while. You do have moments where you go and track animals on foot and they do, either you don't see them because we're not as, finely tuned as them. So they might come up on you, you might get too close unknowingly, and they do rev you. They do give you a charge. Now, being young and stupid, we go for those things sometimes as guides. I'm talking when I was young and silly now, yes? And you go and see to find the animal, get the rev, get the excitement, and then go in. So how does it feel? It's bloody amazing. It's time both stands still and speeds up at the same time, and you reassess a lot of things in that moment. Now, important thing here, guys, this is never ever with a camera in hand. Why? I had one instance, I'll pop this photo up for you. This image was taken from, I was crouched down next to a vehicle. These two lions came walking down the road. It was a very controlled situation where Grant Marcus, good friend of mine from Madikwe, we followed these two guys. It was just us, both qualified guides, in the vehicle. We went down past, pulled off, and we allowed them to walk towards us down the road. Got out and started shooting. 400 first, then 300, and ultimately I was down to a 7200 and so engrossed in the photography, and suddenly you realize, oh shit, this thing's too big for my frame. You take the 70mm down and you realize how close that animal actually is. A slight moment, yes, hello, there he is. So if you ever want to and gonna walk into animals, please, 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 never do it through your camera. It's bad. The distortion and the compression that lens gives you is gonna mess with your mind, and if you don't watch it, the animal's gonna mess with you afterwards. So I think short version, being charged by animals, not something they are looking for, but personally, and when I was younger, it was pretty awesome. Marlon, are you nodding? Yeah. Marlon's nodding, he says yes. Okay, but if you want to do this, make sure, qualified guide, know what you're doing, and never through a camera, please. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Kim asked on Facebook, how about some tips on shooting with our iPhones?
Kim, this is a fantastic question because this iPhone, I've had photographic safaris where I've hosted a group where at the end of the trip, I've got more usable images and more keepers from my iPhone than from a DSLR. Why? Because Instagram's changed the way we look at photography because we are documenting moments rather than going to look for moments. Life happens, yes? And for us to kind of capture life moments as you go with the camera that you have with you, rather than to set up and do the whole thing, I love these things. iPhone are great. So tips for shooting with your iPhone. I know in the Mara last year, you were with me in the Mara last year, and I know you also did a lot of iPhone photography. The nice thing about the iPhone is this. We can forget about the technical. People get too hamstrung by the technical side of things and what should my shutter speed be and my ISO. It's all rubbish. The nice thing here is you worry about what's happening in the frame. You worry about your composition. So if anything, from a photography point of view on the iPhone, worry about your composition. Think of where you place things in the frame. Think of before you click the top button, make sure that scan the frame around the edges and make sure nothing's creeping in. So composition, composition, composition when it comes to iPhone photography. There's some amazing apps out there. I mentioned Snapseed and some of those the last time, but there's some great apps. Slow Shutter, I'll link it up here for you. Very, very cool app to get creative. It slows the shutter speed down and you can create stuff in the frame then, which is sometimes even more effective than in a DSLR. Love these things. And I think I'm seeing you in Kenya again in a couple of weeks' time. Bring your iPhone with you.
Joni asked on Facebook, what is the best destination to view lions, cheetahs, and leopards? And what time of year is the best?
Okay, wow, Joni, this is an interesting question, especially because we get this at the office quite often. Where to go to see certain species and when to go and see them. Now, the big cats of Africa is always a draw. Lion, leopard, cheetah. People want to see them. Do you want to see them in, for example, on red sand dunes? Do you want to see them in grasslands? Or do you want to see them climbing trees? Because they do that as well. So I think the question in itself can be broken down into a whole couple of things. Something like lions, for example. You can go to Madikwe and something like the Sabi Sands year-round, and you will find lions, guaranteed. You stay for 3 or 4 nights, they've become accustomed to vehicles, they are more approachable, the guides follow their movements, so you can almost be guaranteed lion sightings at some of the big 5 reserves. So, okay, cancel guaranteed. This is still wildlife and they do what they want to do, but you have a very good chance of seeing them. Leopard, a bit more secretive, but for leopard, you would look at the Sabi Sands. It's without a doubt the place to go for leopards and leopard photography. Cheetah, what immediately comes to mind for me is the Masai Mara. That is kind of, it's almost like an ambassador. It's like the iconic cat of the Mara. What time of year? Again, I think you need to look at what kind of images you want to create or what kind of experience you want to have. Do you want to go in the dry season when there's lots of dust? Sometimes makes photography challenging, although it's very exciting with all the dusty backgrounds. Or do you want more lush and green? So, Joni, if you are watching this, drop me a line again and tell me what kind of sightings you want or what kind of images you want. And let's streamline this thing and we can get definitive answers. Let's recap. Cheetah, I would go to the Mara. Leopards, I would go to Sabi Sands. Lions, Marlon, when would you go for lions? Pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much all over the place.
Yeah.
Sabi Sands.
Sabi Sands as well. So any Masai Mara. Okay, so watch what's happening here. Marlon says lions are like vermin, they're everywhere. Okay, it's wildlife-wise. So if you go to the Sabi Sands, great for leopards, but you will get lions as well. Madikwe, great lions, almost no leopards. Why it's happening. If I were to say to you, go to one place to get all three, I would probably look at Masai Mara, where cheetah you're almost guaranteed if you stay long enough. Leopards, I've had very good leopard sightings, and lion is also pretty easy to spot, purely because the environment allows for it. Time of year, I would look then for cats. How tall is the grass? How dry is it? Do they have water accessible everywhere else and so on? Joni, email me again, like I said, and tell me what type of images and experience you're after, and we can take it from there. Okay, I think we're going to stop on that one for today. We've got some amazing questions lined up. I mean, Simon, thank you. Simon challenged us and said he's got a question for us that we won't be able to answer as a team. And that is, as a wildlife photographer, what is wildlife? Oh, ethical dilemma coming up. We're going to look at that one in one of next week's episodes. For now, I've got a lot of questions to work through. However, I need more. Send me more questions so we can answer them for you. Anything with wildlife, travel, gear, destinations, cats, species, behavior, whatever. And we will answer those questions for you. The links to all the questions where you can ask your questions will be at the end of this video. And I think that's all for today. Yes? Nice questions. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, up here. Click here, subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes in future. Keep asking your wildlife questions, and the Wild Eye team will keep on answering them for you. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I'll see you next time.